ring, if I am drawing this nucleus, I should know which carbon should I label first, which carbon should I label next. Now for this, you don't follow your traditional numbering where if the substituent is present somewhere, I start labeling from the substituent. The system is different when it comes to steroids. Now for steroids, what you have to remember is the rings have been labeled. So that is what is called as ring numbering and labeling. The first ring is called as A ring. The second is B, C and D. So note it down in your book. Your ring is labeled as A, B, C and D. That is the first and foremost thing which you have to remember. In your syllabus, if you check closely, you will see one of the subheadings as reactions of ring A and B or so and so reactions of steroids, which means that reaction pertaining to this ring. So this is a universal nomenclature where we label the rings as A, B, C and D, irrespective of what is the substituent on the ring. Now coming to the numbering part of the ring. Now numbering is a bit different than your usual numbering. So along with me, start writing the number. I'll show you how to remember the numbers as well. So you begin from this carbon, which you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So you get done with the first set of rings whereby you don't skip the bridge atom. Now normally in case of naphthalene and other aromatic rings, you move to the next and then come to the bridging atoms. Here you have to continue. The next ring would be C ring. Your ring is labeled from the next numbering 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 and 17. So this is the way the numbering goes. So if you have to remember, you have to remember it as the numbering starts from A, continues till here, and then it moves from C to D. So that is the way the steroid nucleus gets numbered from ring A to ring D. So quickly revising the numbering, you always have to start from this carbon. So this is your start point for all the structures, which means supposingly I'm emphasizing this aspect because I may have a structure where the substituent is here. For example, I write the substituent as CH3. In this case, I don't consider the numbering from here just because CH3 is placed here. This is a steroid nucleus and hence you have to start numbering from the first carbon, which is the carbon of ring A. So your numbering goes in your anti-clockwise direction as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, whereby you get done with the first A and B set of rings, then move to the ring C, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 and 17. The reason I'm emphasizing so much on the numbering is all your reactions further, you may have 6 OH or 6, 7 OH. It should not happen that you're wondering where this carbon is. Now this is your C17 nucleus, which we said that steroid is a 4-ring structure having C17 or 17 carbons. Now ahead of it, most of the steroids also have a methyl group between the ring A and B at the position this and also here. So these are the two methyl ring or the methyl carbons which are present in most of the steroids. I'm saying most, I have not said all, because when we eventually come to various types of steroids, you will get to know that certain steroids lack that extra hydrogen or extra methyl group. And what is typically done is when I have to label these methyls, they are considered as the part of that ring for counting the number of carbon, where you consider this methyl as 18 and this methyl is considered as the 19th carbon. So when the basic steroid scaffold, I have C17 carbons, some steroids may have C18 or 19. So 18 is the carbon which is following 17, not 17 or not 18, 19. It is 18 here next to 17 and then 19. Now this is a very specific numbering system and that is why you have to know and understand the numbering system. So 18, 19 and then when I have more carbons here, I start numbering further. So if I have a carbon here, this would become 20. If I extend further, this would become 21. If I extend it further, I will have 22, 23, 24, so on and so forth. Now, the reason why I have explained the carbons on this system is your structure of cholesterol will have this type of side chain, and therefore we'll make use of that. I'll give you the specific side chain which is present in cholesterol for better understanding. So in cholesterol, it definitely has this 18 and 19, and ahead of it, it has this 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. So now if I want to discuss cholesterol, I would call it as a C25 steroid. I think you all are familiar with the structure of cholesterol, and that is why I've included the side chain. There are a few other groups on this rings as well. We'll come to the structure later. For now, remember the side chains start getting number ahead of this 19. And that too specifically when they are on this carbon. If I write a methyl here, I don't call it as a 20 methyl. Then it becomes a 4 methyl group. Then it is treated as a group. If it is present on this 17th carbon, I start extending the number. Otherwise, it is treated as a substituent. So clear with the numbering and the ring lettering? If so, we'll move to the next and the most important aspect of dealing with the orientation and the three-dimensional view of this structure. Cyclohexane, we write it as the most stable conformer being a chair conformation. So cyclohexane, I can draw it as this chair. I can also draw it as the other form of chair. In whichever form you draw, you would write it as the chair conformer being most stable conformer. Whereby we have bonds distributed across the chair. You must be calling it as a puckered conformer, in case if you remember. Now, what is so peculiar about this chair conformer is the orientation of the bonds present on the chair. If you write cyclohexane like this, you might draw it as flat structure, but ideally it is not a flat structure, and therefore the entire picture now changes. So what I'll do is I'll revise a few things, and definitely you all will be helping me in doing that. For your cyclohexane, you must definitely be at least aware of the term axial and equatorial. ये नाम तो पक्का याद होगा, भले ये ना याद हो कि कौन axial and कौन equatorial. So axial and equatorial, in your cyclohexane, you all have 2 hydrogens per carbon. All the carbons are CH2s, and therefore all the carbons have 2 hydrogens each. Out of these 2, which means you have 12 hydrogens in total, 6 hydrogens are axial hydrogens and 6 hydrogens are equatorial hydrogens. Now, again, clarifying your concept, if you all know it already, very happy with that. If not, the name axial has been derived because cyclohexane, if I consider it as a plane, yani ki this cyclohexane, if I consider as lying in a plane, I have this as the axis. Perpendicular to the plane, what I have is the axis, and those bonds which fall in the axis, let it be up, let it be below the plane, both are fine, but as long as they are oriented in the direction of the axis, I call it as axial bonds. Now, same way, those bonds which are in plane of the plane itself, that means along the equator, we call it as equatorial bonds. So be it on the left, be it on the right, not a concern. As long as they are perpendicular to the axis, we call it as an equatorial bond. So that is the first concept of axial versus equatorial. Now quickly what we'll do is, if you all are already aware, you can start drawing it in your book. Otherwise what I'll do is I'll mark the axial bonds for you all. So right now, if I start from this carbon, you will have this as the first axial bond, this as the another axial bond, and this as the third axial bond. So for the ring, there are 3 bonds above the plane which are axial. The same way, if I want to draw the rest of the axial bonds for the carbons, so remember, easy way is all the carbons have 1 axial and 1 equatorial. क्योंकि 6 carbons है, 6 axial है, 6 equatorial है, which means all carbons have 1 axial, 1 equatorial. So I have drawn for these 3 carbons. Now the rest of the carbons equatorial axial bonds would be these 3 bonds. So these are the axial bonds which are present in cyclohexane. So I have 3 which are above the plane, 3 which are below the plane, falling as axial bonds. Now coming to the equatorial bonds of cyclohexane, your equatorial bonds would be, for this carbon, equatorial bond would be a bond which is in the, or we can say perpendicular to the axis. For this carbon, I would have the equatorial bond as this, and for this carbon, the equatorial bond would be this. I am just completing the equatorial bond. Now, those who all have a confusion in drawing equatorial bonds for this and this carbon, most of you all land up drawing the equatorial bond for this carbon in this manner. This is an incorrect representation, which means, agar samjha nahi hai to, I cannot draw the equatorial bond like this, which is an incorrect representation because carbon is a tetrahedral structure, not a tetrahedron like this. It is a proper tetrahedron. So agar difficulty hai yaad rakhne ko, so what you remember is check this plane. This plane is slanted in this direction. So both these bonds would be in this direction. So check the orientation of the ring. If it is like this, then the bonds would be in the same parallel to that sides. Same way, I am having this direction or this direction as like this, the plane of the ring. So your equatorial bonds are pointing in this direction. This goes with this as well. ये जो है इसके parallel आने वाला है. So remember, while drawing cyclohexane, you have to draw parallel bonds wherever applicable. So draw the correct structure. The reason is, if you don't draw it in the correct orientation, indirectly you are giving a hint to the examiner that you are not clear with the concepts of OC. So avoid that as far as possible. Draw the correct form, and ahead of it, chair structures, draw a good chair form. Don't draw as distorted chair. Few of the students draw some random chairs here and there. Don't do it this way. Draw a good chair conformation so that you represent all the bonds correctly. Now coming back to axial and equatorial, we have identified that we have 6 axial bonds, 6 equatorial bonds. Clear so far? So axial and equatorial concept is what I wanted to revise first. Now we'll move to the next aspect of, in your structure of steroids, you have also an additional thing because of the cyclohexane, what is known as alpha and beta. Have you all heard of this term alpha and beta earlier for cyclohexanes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So what is alpha and what is beta? Or you all feel confused at times, which is alpha, which is beta? At least कॉन्सेप्ट बताओ किस किस चीज के लिए हम लोग अल्फा बीटा बोलते हैं. जैसे एक्सियल इक्वेटोरियल मैंने तुम लोग को कॉन्सेप्ट बताया कि एक्सियल इज अलोंग द एक्सिस और परपेंडिकुलर टू एक्सिस. वैसे अल्फा बीटा किस कॉन्सेप्ट के लिए यूज करते हैं?
फेसिंग डाउनवर्ड्स एंड अपवर्ड्स.
यस, वेरी गुड, करेक्ट करेक्ट, परफेक्ट. सो नाउ अपवर्ड्स एंड डाउनवर्ड्स में कौन अल्फा है कौन बीटा है?
डाउनवर्ड्स इज
Alpha is
अल्फा,
downward.
बीटा इज अपवर्ड.
Yes, now for those who may have a confusion in remembering, I would just give a simple trick, nothing chemistry wise, but when I'm drawing alpha, at least itna to yaad rahega, when I'm completing the structure that is going down. So remember, alpha is a bond which is going below the plane. Now below the plane again is this plane. So cyclohexane, if we consider as the carbons being lying in the plane, forget about the bonds, but if the carbon is forming a plane, those bonds which are going below the plane are alpha. And same way when I'm drawing beta, this is your beta. So going above the plane would be your beta bond. That is one simple layman's way of remembering alpha and beta. If you remember already, well and good. Those who all have difficulty in remembering, I'm just hinting you the way to remember. So if I'm saying alpha and beta, now can I say all axial bonds are alpha and all equatorial bonds are beta? True or false?
False.
Who all agree with this?
False. I mean, yeah.
False.
False.
Okay,
False.
so I would take the majority poll as false, and the answer is correct. I cannot generalize as all axial being alpha and all equatorial being alpha, because just now a while ago I explained that axis wale bonds few of them, precisely 3 axial bonds are going above the plane, 3 axial bonds are going below the plane, which means I cannot generalize as axial all will be alpha and equatorial all will be alpha. Part of the axial or 50% bonds of axial bonds are alpha and 50% equatorial bonds would be beta. That would be your correct statement, not all. Now, while numbering or while identifying the alpha and beta, if I draw the structure, when you say beta going above the plane, if you check this equatorial bond is not completely 90° to the plane. But what you have to remember is it is pointing above the plane. And therefore now this bond becomes a beta bond, which is equatorial. So this is that example which justifies that all equatorial bonds need not, all axial bonds need not be alpha, all equatorial bonds need not be beta. This is one example which complies. So here you have that axial alpha because this is going down the plane. In this carbon I have axial, but still it is beta. And here the next carbon is facing downwards. It is equatorial, but it is alpha. So remember on all the carbons, now if I want to label them as alpha or beta, I would have a random arrangement. I may not have the same arrangement. So here this would be beta, this would be alpha, this would be your alpha bond, this would be beta. So all your bonds here above the plane become beta, all your bonds below the plane become alpha. Now again, one very important concept for you all to know is based on this alpha and beta, later on we are going to classify the rings as cis and trans based on the carbon which has one bond going above the plane, one bond going below the plane. At the point of attachment, we label them as cis or trans. So if I extend this, what I'll do is I'll take the next page for drawing. Okay, otherwise I'll erase. Okay. Now when I have steroids, I have A and B ring which is fused. So supposingly I'm drawing, this would be ring A for example. And if I draw the next ring here, this is the point of attachment. Now on the point of attachment, I have one carbon here and the second carbon here. If I draw this temporarily as methyl, I would have one axial bond which is alpha, one bond which is beta. And this type of arrangement would then be called as a trans arrangement. So going ahead from your axial, equatorial and cis alpha and beta, we now identify what happens when the two rings A and B of your entire nucleus are fused in a manner where the axial bonds are anti to each other. So this becomes your example of trans arrangement. In cis arrangement, what would then happen is both the bonds would no longer be opposite to each other. So what if I draw the steroid in this manner? Now tell me the point of attachment. This is the point of attachment and this is the second point of attachment. Here I have this axial bond facing above the plane. This is your axial bond again for this ring. So if I draw the axial bond here, this axial bond and this axial bond, both of them are facing above the ring, above the plane of this structure. And therefore this arrangement is known as a cis arrangement, where both the axial bonds are facing above the plane. That means both of them are beta. Here one of them is alpha, one of them is beta. So this is your arrangement when I have ring A and ring B of steroids. Both the bonds above would be cis. Both the bonds anti to each other would give me trans. Now this is very important and key understanding when I represent various arrangements. I'll be taking examples one by one. But for now, remember these few concepts. The first thing is when I have both the rings fused in the manner anti to each other, we call them as a trans arrangement. Both of them fused in a way where the axial bonds are in the same plane, we call it as cis arrangements. And based on these cis and trans, your reactivity is going to change, all your reaction pattern is going to change. For a simple understanding, those who at least remember, if I have bonds here and here, we call it as some type of interaction. because these methyl groups are going to interact with each other. The specific name is 1,3 diaxial interaction. Because they are axial bonds, they are placed 1, 2 and 3 to each other. 1, 2 and 3 in this case is not the proper IUPAC, it is the relative position. So if one atom is present on the first carbon, the next is present on third. So this is typically known as 1,3 diaxial interaction. Now check for this structure. There are two methyls close to each other, but they are in different planes. So not in the same plane versus these methyls in the same plane. And thereby the rate of reactions or the way in which these two molecules are going to interact is going to change. And reactivity is therefore going to get affected. Your typical questions in the exam demand that you identify which will react, which will not react, or which will react faster and justify. And then you have to understand whether it is trans, whether it is cis, what is the energy, what is the stable structure. Now remember all your natural steroids. I'm saying natural, which means synthesized by the body or by the natural form. All of them are trans kind of steroids. When I say trans kind of steroids, I would draw now ABC ring. Your earlier structure, which we had represented 17 carbons, now looks like this kind of structure where you have your ring A, ring B, C and D. Now look at these rings carefully. This is your A and B, which we have just identified as being trans. Now look at ring B and C. For B, this is the point of attachment. Carbon 1 going, axial bond going below the plane. C, another axial bond going above the plane. So again, they are trans to each other. So that is why what we call this structure as a complete trans structure. If you check the point of attachment of all the rings, all the bonds are trans to each other, and that is why this structure is known as all trans structure. And all your natural steroids would majorly be all trans. All trans means A, B, C and D. The point of attachment or the nature of orientation of the rings is trans to each other. So that is your basic understanding of the cyclohexane ring, the type of bonds or the orientation, the conformers which are there. Conformers here is restricted to cis and trans, understanding of cis and trans. Nowhere you are going to change the cyclohexane. So don't draw a boat form unnecessarily unless there is some substituent which is forcing the ring to be in the boat form. Otherwise you will have a trans structure always. And now these are the categories of steroids which you all are expected to know, or which your syllabus tells you to study. The first type is your estrane. The second is your androstane. So estrane and androstane are obviously your hormone kind of, sex hormone kind of steroids, the pregnant nucleus, and then the final cholesterol, which will then be your category of mineralocorticoid. So your cholesterol is your highest carbon containing steroid nucleus and the lowest is estrane. So can someone quickly tell me, if I say estrane is C18, what will be the core in estrane? C18. तो यानी कि क्या होना चाहिए उसमें?
The 4 rings and 1 methyl group.
Methyl group.
Yes, very good. But then where should that methyl be placed?
In between
On the
or
fifth
yeah,
carbon. Fifth ring.
Yes, yes.
On carbon 13.
Between your, yes, very good. Somebody has also labeled the correct position. So it will be between your carbon, between the ring C and D, that 18 is present and your 19 is absent. So that type of structure would be your C18 type of nucleus. So if I have to draw this, I hope you all are drawing along with me so that you practice the rings well. Remember, this chapter of steroids you will get only when you practice sufficiently. If you don't practice it well, you will not be able to draw the structures correctly. So estrane is when you have a C18. Now for now, I'm just drawing it as a bond. In the next lecture, as in when we develop the concept, I'll start drawing it, whether it is going above the plane, whether it is going below the plane. And I expect you all to understand those as in when I draw them. Now, since estrane is C18, androstane is something which I have discussed in the earlier things. So androstane would be when I have a C19 nucleus, sorry, that is my bad. So C19 nucleus would be when you have one methyl here and the next methyl here. That is your androsten. Now pregnane, can somebody think what would be the nucleus for pregnane? So I already have the C17 in place, and you all know that 19 and 18 and 19 is your 19 तक तो हो गया, तो 21 क्या होना चाहिए?
After
On
20
17.
extended ring.
Yes, so on 17 what should be the substituent?
Ethyl.
Yes, perfect. So ethyl is the substituent on this 17, which would make it as 20 and 21. So your pregnane nucleus would have this arrangement. Ahead of it, based on what additional groups are there, we may add on to this name further, but the core nucleus of androsten is this core nucleus of pregnane. If I call it as pregnanol, then somewhere in the ring there is OH, and I will need to specify where that OH is. So pregnane is C, I think I've missed out C, this should be C25, not 21. This is C25. Cholestane is your nucleus, which I had drawn earlier. So for cholestane, you all have this entire structure as it is, and then on this carbon you have this kind of arrangement. So these are the additional groups which you need to know for cholesterol. But for cholestane as a nucleus, this is your D, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 and 25. So this is the numbering of cyclohexane. Now with respect to cis and trans, if I am drawing this as cis estrane, which would mean that A and B are in the cis arrangement. When I label this as trans estrane, I would have this as trans. Now quickly dealing with how to represent in this figure, if I have to draw cis, I would draw it as this. For now, we'll just deal with this. Your cyclohexane conformers in both shape, we'll do it next time. But अगर cis बोल रही हूँ मैं, तो at least you should know that now cis मतलब दोनों same plane में आने वाले. So either this or this. Both of them going below the plane would be your cis orientation. If I'm saying trans for androsten, for example, I would represent this and this. So that is your understanding.